Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Slesser from the University of Wisconsin, and I am the current Early Career Development National Chair. Today, I have the honor of introducing our speakers from the Ohio State. I have Gigi Neal, Andrew Holden, Christina Gelly, and Trevor Corboy will be with us shortly. They are going to present today's presentation, The Inside Scoop of Applying for Awards. Gigi, I'll turn it over to you.
Let me share my screen here. There's Trevor jumping on with us. Okay, can you see it? I still got notes up. I want the screen. Okay, what I do wrong? Share presentation. I keep moving my screens, Heather.
Yeah, we're seeing it. We're just seeing it with the slides on the side still. So
Okay, so when there we are jumping monitors on me. I got too many monitors open, I guess. Well, you guys are seeing the slide, the whole deck though, aren't you?
Yeah, the whole deck.
Yeah. So I'm not getting it out of presenter mode for some reason.
We can see it from here if it works for you to work on this way.
Okay. I know what I can do. We'll disconnect the monitor. Now I've lost my mouse. Once again, as we said, we've already, we've been doing this for how many years now? There we go. We have a full
Perfect.
screen now. Good.
Full screen.
Okay.
That's
Looks
the one.
Okay, finally. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gigi Neal with Ohio State University Extension, and I am the Vice Chair of the Early Career Development for Ohio. And formerly, I was a Communications Awards Chair for Ohio, and I have brought along with me some colleagues who are also chairs of their given committees and have been judging these awards for several years and also applying for them. And so we're going to try and give you guys the inside scoop on applying for awards, everything you need to know about applying for awards, we think, because there's always other things in there where it depends. So do not hold us accountable for everything being exactly perfect today, but we are going to do our best to give you the information as we have seen it over our years of accomplishing goals throughout Extension. So with me today, and they may do a little more introduction when they join, I do have Christine Gelly, who's the former communications chair for Ohio, and also Trevor Corboy, who is a vice chair for Search for Excellence here, and then Andrew Holden, who is our chair for Early Career Development in Ohio, and he will be giving you the presentation in regards to, he is under the 5-year mark, so he's going to give you that early career ideas and information from that standpoint. So some of our objectives today is what are considered awards. And then we're going to step into communication awards. We're going to look at Program and Recognition Council awards, specifically Search for Excellence and Agricultural Awareness and Appreciation. And If I Only Knew Then, and then we'll have a time for some questions and answers at the end. So what are considered award categories? Well, we have a couple different award categories. We have general awards, we have communication awards, then we have what's called Program Recognition and Council Awards and scholarship. So you can apply for different scholarship awards also within this. And that is done by making sure that you provide a certain dollar amount, whether it is given directly from yourself, or you can also do it as a donation at the auction that happens each year. Regardless, all awards are found at this website that I have posted here through nacaa.com at awards and applications section. That's at the very top of the NACAA website. So with general awards, we have a couple that are designated from your state. So the Achievement Award is for those who have achieved success and they are under the 10-year mark. This award and the next one, which is called Distinguished Service Award, which is greater than 10 years or more, providing distinguished service through extension work, and also both of these you have to be NACA outstanding members also, but they are nominated by your peers within your state. Each state is also allowed a certain percentage of nominees. So for example, the year that I was nominated, we had 2 award recipients for achievement. I believe we are now up to having enough members across the state where we are eligible to have 3 different achievement awards in the state of Ohio. So we have 3 members that are nominated for that, and also the same with distinguished service. The Hall of Fame Award is where current and life members are nominated by the state association. So you nominate one individual from the state, and then there are Hall of Fame nominees that are recognized from the regional levels. So it is a categorized item also. This is one that is a memorial scholarship. It is based out of the Northeast region, the Dan Kluchner Memorial Scholarship, and they pick one person from the Northeast region states, and then one other individual from the other 3 regions. If for some reason there is not a nominee in the Northeast region, they may select 2 from the other 3 regions across the United States. So this is something that as a early career development individual who is under 10 years or less, you can apply for this because this is specifically for that group of career individuals. And then we also have the JSUP Creative Excellence Award, which anyone as an NACA member can apply for. You just have to be in good standing for any of these. And then the next one, the last one, is what's called Service to American and World Agriculture. And this depends on what region of the country the host location is. So for example, this year we are in Des Moines, Iowa, and so the North Central region would be eligible to have someone nominated for this award category. Award levels and financial opportunities. So the majority of the awards that we will be talking about from this point forward, there is a state award, a regional award, and national finalist, and the winner. Through each of these, you can receive money. The one thing about receiving the financial items or rewards is that you do have to be present at the AMPIC to be able to receive those. So at the state, you can receive, as a state winner, you can get $50. Regional is around $250. And then that's backwards, $150. And then the national and as winner is, and the winner receives financial accommodations also. And you can find those through each one of the different category sections, because depending on whether it's communications or search for excellence, depends on the how much is awarded, and also if there is a sponsor. So if you happen to know any sponsors that would be good for our organization to help fund some of these, I know that Scott would appreciate having them forwarded to him, because we're always looking for new sponsors also. So then the next thing is, regardless of which one of the categories you plan to apply for, where do you find the rules? Where do you find the application? So you go to the website, the NACAA website, and that's nacaa.com, and then the county magazine. So the county agent magazine is where we find all of the rules, guidelines, abstract examples, descriptors for each one of the topics. Everything is found underneath the county Ag Agent magazine, and I have put the link here directly to the one for December of 2022, which is the publication with all of the rules, guidelines, and information for applying for any of these categories that we're talking about today. So all applications are due by March 15th of the current year, and the application period goes from March 15 to March 15, except for the DSA and the AA, and those are to be sent in by each state association before January 15th. So you may have seen those coming across your states in regards to nominating individuals for those award areas. Christine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Gelly. This is my daughter, Naomi. She's not feeling very good today, so we are joining the presentation together from home. And Gigi, it looks like the remote control has worked, so we'll see how this goes. As mentioned previously, I have served before as the communications chair for Ohio. And in my section of today's presentation, I want to share experience with you through that position that helps you gain the clarity necessary to potentially become a winner. And so I have had the honor of being selected as a national finalist before, and shortly afterwards became the committee chair for awards. And fortunately, someone has taken that responsibility, so I can now enter the awards category again and help myself and also my colleagues use those awards for promotion opportunities and recognition among our peers. So if you are early career, you may be hearing talk about these awards. There's lots of them, as Gigi mentioned already, and we're going to talk specifically about those that are considered communications awards. And can you apply? And yes, you can apply for these awards as long as you are an active member in good standing when the submission deadline comes around. So that is March 15th. So as long as you are a paid up member of the NACAA, you may submit for awards. Our state has a deadline in which you can apply or submit your information to become a member. And for us, that's October 31st. So if you're hired in the in-between time of your state's membership drive, you can reach out to the national level to gain membership in the in-between time so you can apply for awards and attend the conference. There are a couple of exceptions to this, and those primarily relate to those serving in leadership roles. So regional directors, officers, and the NACAA policy chair are not eligible to apply, but they can participate in the Achievement Award and DSA, as well as Hall of Fame. But essentially, if you're serving in a leadership role in the committee that's associated with that award, don't apply at that point in time. There are many awards. So what does communications include? Communications items that are eligible for the awards competition are anything that you create in your work to communicate with other people. And that can be people as in the general public. It could be people within extension, your colleagues. Say if you do a train the trainer type of an event and your audience is your colleagues, you can use that as a communications piece as well. You just specify that in your application. There's 13 different categories that communication awards can be sorted into. The criteria for what can be entered each year is materials that range from March 15th to March 15th. So this year's items must have been created between March 15th, 2022 and March 15th, 2023. So if you have something coming up that you haven't created already, keep this in mind. You can look over the criteria now and make sure you have all the information gathered come submissions time to submit your excellent work. One entry per member as the lead author can be submitted per category. So there is the ability for you to be entered, in a category more than once, but only once may you be the lead. You could submit as a team, as long as someone else was the team leader. Each category has its own set of rules, and every entry that you submit must have an abstract. We're going to talk a bit more about the abstract specifically as we go along, but let's talk about these categories. The category of audio recording is often where radio interviews go, but also podcasts can go into the audio recordings category. And you have the ability to either attach an audio file to your submission, or you can provide a link to an online website. Just make sure that your link actually works. Published photo would be an original photo of yours that was submitted for publication. It could be in a magazine, it can be in a newspaper, it could be on an online web platform of some kind. Just has to be published in a body of public work. Then we have computer-generated presentation with script. This is essentially a PowerPoint, but it is a PowerPoint, just the slides in the script of what you would say. It's not a recording of you giving the PowerPoint, and it's not just your slides, but you include your script throughout the entire presentation with this entry. Event promotional package is a category that has been edited recently, and you can submit multiple pieces of work that promote an event in this category. There's more specifics to that we'll go over, but in this category, you can enter more than one item as a body of work. The next category is personal column, and this would be a column that you would write on a frequent basis using a personal tone of voice to a specific audience to count as personal column. It doesn't have to be a column in a newspaper, but it does need to be a regular periodical publication. Feature story article is one of those pieces that you submit on an infrequent basis to announce something that's happening, going on, occurred. Say a producer in your county has done a great job with an equip project and you had a field day and you want to write an article about that field day. You send it to a paper or magazine and it was published. That's a feature story. We have newsletter, and newsletter pertains in the same category, individual newsletter or team. At one point in time, they were split into team and individual, but they are now in the same category. And so newsletters, you need to submit more than one newsletter that's produced in the time frame given, but they don't have to be monthly. They could be quarterly, they could even be weekly newsletters. And then we also have educational video recording, and this would be a video that you've created to teach someone something, not necessarily an interview, but going through the process of learning a task or sharing educational information specific to a certain topic. And these can be up to 15 minutes. You can submit a video that's longer than 15 minutes, but only 15 minutes will be judged. And it is up to you as the entry person to designate what 15 minutes you want judged. Fact sheet is probably one that we get the most confusion with, because often what your extension organization may call a fact sheet may not fit the criteria of the fact sheet category. So a fact sheet is an educational written document that is 4 pages or less. And when we say 4 pages, that would be you open up Microsoft Word and it is 4 pages long. If you print it off, it would be front and back, front and back. If you do front and back times 4, that's 8 pages, not 4 pages. If you have an 8-page long document, that goes in publication rather than fact sheet. So fact sheet is a pretty condensed body of work, less than 4 pages. Publication is essentially any other educational publication that is not a fact sheet. Website and online content. This category can be a blog site that you create and post on frequently. It can be a team website. It can be a social media account, but it does have to have a clear purpose and does need to be used for work, not for personal that you post work things on. It's a work centered account. This can sometimes get confused online content with learning module. if you are creating an online learning experience, that is a learning module rather than a website. But learning module can also be a physical document, a traditional module or notebook that you teach from. And then we have bound book, and that is a traditional book, which has also been edited to include ebooks. So it doesn't have to be published on paper. It can be published as a PDF document and submitted in that format. To tell you more about what's included in these abstracts, it is absolutely essential that you have an abstract. Make sure you complete one fully. The abstract on Communications Awards is worth 15 points. And you'll need to include the following items. And as a hint, many entry placings between first and second and third national finalists is often determined by the quality of the abstract. So take the time to write a good one. You'll need to include your name, your state, and your county, and for every team member that's associated with your entry. Descriptions of how you were a main contributor and how your team contributed to the body of work. You also need to include a summary of the entry itself that includes the objective, the purpose, the preparation method, and also how it was distributed and how many were distributed. You want to be as specific as possible while also limiting it to a single paragraph of 350 words or less. So as you can see, it may take some time to condense all of that information into what we are looking for, but take the time to do it well. And I do suggest typing it in a word processor program and copying and pasting it over rather than just straight typing into the submission box online. Now we'll spend a little bit of time talking about those commonly confused categories. I alluded to some of these before, but just to provide some additional clarity, we'll start with computer-generated presentation with script. So as I mentioned, this would be a PDF copy of your slide deck that includes the script of what you would say out loud for that slide. You could approach this from, you gave a presentation online, you recorded it, and you had the subtitles turned on, where you could collect the subtitles of your work, and then you could use that to create the script for your presentation, or you could prepare the script first before you give your presentation. But what we are not looking for is a video recording of you giving the presentation. It's the PowerPoint and the script. When we look at event promotional package, that one can be confusing sometimes as to what fits in the promotional package versus feature story or versus a program flyer. Now, this category used to specifically pertain to program flyers, but as we progressively change the way we promote programs, we realized that flyer was not inclusive enough to embody all the ways that people are promoting events. So you changed it to promotional package, and you can submit, I will check this for you in one moment, but you can submit, I believe it's 3, might be 4 pieces in that package. I will verify that for you here in just a moment. We will visit the website. Then personal column versus feature story. I did mention this before. Your personal column appears on a regular basis, whereas feature story is a one-time occurrence focused on a specific topic. Your personal column does need to have a personal tone with it. Your fact sheet versus publication. Again, fact sheet is that educational publication that's less than 4 pages. Publication can go beyond that. It can be a brochure, it can be a bulletin, it can be a fact sheet longer than 4 pages. Your website, online content, and learning module or notebook, again, mentioned that prior, that your website is that is a website that you maintain either yourself or as a team where you post content. Your learning module is a probably a self-guided module that people proceed through to learn an educational topic, perhaps achieve a certificate of some kind. Now we're going to proceed to find all these rules. As Gigi noted before, everything is housed online. And so let me check I'm not sure if we're able to share screen the website. I want to see what happens if I click this. It's just going to proceed through the website, but I'm going to click through it here myself. If you want to follow along, go ahead and visit nacaa.com. Once you get onto the website, you'll want to log in. If you are so new that you do not have a login, you will want to acquire one before March 15th. Once you're logged in, you're going to go to the home page on the top and click Awards and Applications. Then you'll click on Communication Award. You'll scroll down just slightly. It's in the middle, Communication Award. And then on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a set of tabs. Under one of the tabs is Information and Instructions. Under this, it gives you all of the information about who is eligible to enter, what the judging criteria is, how to submit entries, how to prepare the abstract. And I'm going to read you the description of promotional package since I was talking about that one before. Submit up to 3 methods. Include only one item for each method, such as a flyer, a social media post, an advertisement to this category. Examples may include, but are not limited to, mailers and postcards, radio recordings, paid ads, social media accounts, video recordings, and press releases. All must be submitted in a PDF or MP4 format as links to online sources. And then it gives you some tips on what to include in the abstract. Depending on the differences between each category, you may need to include a couple extra pieces of information to fully give the scope of your whole body of work. Next, if you have additional questions that aren't answered in the rules area, back on that left-hand side of the screen, there's a tab that says Awards, FAQ. You can click that and there's information about how to find your login and your password. What are the deadlines? How do I send my application in? My file attachment is too large. What do I do? In most cases, if something doesn't seem to be working right, contact your state communications chair first. And then if they're not able to answer your question, they can take it up further. The application process is also completely online. You start in the same place, but instead of proceeding through communications awards, you will click Award Applications and Nominations. That is a different tab. On that tab, all of the awards categories are listed, not just communications. And so it's the same entry process, whether you're looking for the Search for Excellence applications or the communications applications. I see Scott's putting some notes there in the chat about your first time logging in. Once you have found that drop-down box, you'll select the category you want to enter, and then you'll need to search for yourself as the NACAA member submitting the award. It feels a little funny because it'll say search for member. That's you. Type your name in. You should be able to click on yourself and then proceed forward. If you can't find yourself, then that may mean that you're not fully entered into the system and you may need assistance. There's entry boxes online for each application. You can fill out what you want to say in a Word document processor and copy and paste it over. But in the newer version of the website, there's a lot of editing tools in the website as well. You can do spell check and italicize things and underline things as well. You'll want to upload any necessary attachments using the Choose File button. If you have more than one attachment to add, you'll have to click the Add Another File button, and then that Choose File button will show up again. You can upload another document. Some entries will require that you submit the original document and the published document. So if I submit my personal column, I need to submit the Word file I sent to the newspaper, and then I need to submit a scanned copy of my article in the newspaper. Or if it's published online, it could be the link to where your article was published. If you're putting a link to a website, make sure that you put it in the abstract box and check and make sure that all of the characters are correct so that when that link is either clicked or copied and pasted into a web browser, it goes to the correct place. Then once you finish that part, as you're scrolling down through the form, you'll have the opportunity to add your team members. If you have a team member who is not a part of NACAA, their information will not autofill for you, and you'll have to enter that on your own. But if the person is a member, you should be able to click their name and it will fill in their current membership information, such as county, state, contact info. Before you're able to save your application, you'll need to click the agreement boxes at the bottom. There are 2 of them, and they pertain to you understand that if you are the winner, then you need to appear in person to accept your award. And then save and continue. If you're ready to submit, the submit button and any error messages will be at the top of that application form. So you scroll back up to the top of the page, proceed to fix any issues, scroll back up and click submit. My advice to you through this process is that every NACAA member, regardless of your career status at this point, has something worthy of submission. Our job is all about communicating with people. So I'm sure you have at least one item that fits in one of these categories that you would be proud to submit. And if you think you won't win, you might be wrong, because we all have unique creative strategies of reaching people that may speak to one audience or another. So don't be shy about submitting. And give yourself plenty of time to submit a good application. Write that abstract as it should be, get all the attachments that you need, and get a feel for the website. Just a reminder that you can save your work anytime on the website, but you have to have a program title entered, and then you have to have something in the abstract box, or it will flag it and tell you you can't proceed. But as long as you have something typed in there, you can save your work. Once you've started an application, your state chair can view it. So if you need assistance with something, you can say, hey, I started an abstract in the category of audio recording. I'm not sure if the link is working, or I'm not sure if I listed the professional help part right. You can ask your state chair to open up the application and view it. If you completely submit the application and then you realize you want to change something, you can mark it as incomplete, fix it, and resubmit it as long as it's before March 15th. Your committee chair may notice that something is missing and mark your application incomplete. If that were to happen, you would get a notification that that occurred. And then don't wait until March 15th to begin the process. Start early and ask for help well in advance, because your communications chair will be swamped on March 15th and may not be able to respond in time to help you. And then once you're all done, I'd suggest you offer to judge a category that you're not an entry in. It will help you learn more about what to do in that category, and also get you some brownie points on the service side. And that's all I have to share. I will give up remote control.
Christine, before we go on, there was a question in the Q&A for you.
Sure.
If you're able to answer. The question is, I've been doing a regular appearance on a live television program. Would this qualify as a communication award? And if so, what category would you recommend they submit under?
I would say it can qualify. It depends on what content you're doing on live TV. If you are teaching something in this live TV presentation, you could use it as educational video. So let's say you're invited on and for 10 minutes you teach about how to fertilize your garden. That counts as educational video. You can submit the recording of you doing that video as educational video. If you're going on TV and you're announcing an event coming up, I have a field day coming up on July 1st, that could go in your promotional packet. So you would submit that event you were doing with maybe a program flyer, your live TV appearance, and a newspaper article or something. That could go in your program packet, your promotional packet. So I say yes. If you want to provide a little bit more information, be happy to help answer, but I'd say it'd either go in educational video or that promotional package category.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Trevor should have control now.
Looks good. So Once again, I'm Trevor Corboy. I'm currently the Ag and Natural Resources Educator in Greene County for Ohio State University Extension and the current Vice Chair for the Search for Excellence Committee in Ohio. And so over the next few minutes, we'll talk about
Trevor, you muted yourself. Or somehow you got muted.
Sorry about that. Not sure what's going on with Zoom today. So before we talk about how to apply for some of these awards, let's talk about categories. And so let's back up a second. And when we think about Search for Excellence Awards, really think about the different programs that you do in your position and how they might fit into these categories. So don't be really confused by necessarily the category and thinking about so much more focus on what do I do that fits within the particular category, and what type of program have I developed or carried out that I feel is an outstanding extension education program, and then pick that category that you think fits best. So our categories in Search for Excellence are environmental quality, forestry and natural resources, our 4-H youth development, or 4-H and youth development. So these could be youth type programs. Crop production, so maybe we've done some type of on-farm research, commercial and consumer horticulture, so maybe we're working with some type of volunteer, master gardener volunteer, certified volunteer naturalist, different volunteer programs that we might have within our position. Farm and ranch business management. I'll show a few examples of this here later on, but these could be new and beginning farmer type programs. They could be as simple as a pasture walk. If you have what you feel is an awesome program that you put on, all these would be eligible to apply for these different types of awards. Livestock production, young beginning and small farm rancher. So kind of two things there where that beginning farmer, that example I just mentioned, could fit. But find the one that best meets what you're trying to carry out in that program. And then sustainable agriculture. So those are our categories. So when we think about when we apply for these, so ultimately I pulled this right off the criteria. So we were looking at the same thing. And so you can apply for as many categories as you want, but only one entry in each category for that same program. And so when you think about these, they need to be abstract shorter than 1,200 words. And so think about what you need to say there, and it should reflect program and activity accomplishments within the past 3 years. We want those to be relevant programs that are in that recent time frame. And these would be by members applying for these. And so we also want to break that abstract down into our educational objectives for that program, some of the activities that we did during the program, what type of teaching method did we use, what were the results, some sort of impact statement. So what did we take away from that program, or what did participants take away, and then that evaluation piece. And so with your submission, you can attach 3 supporting documents. So this might be some takeaway from the program, whatever you feel best supports that program in those documents. And then with that abstract, I mentioned the 1,200 word. If it is a team entry, the names on the abstract must be the same as on the application. So here again, write this in a Word document and then transfer that into the NACA website. That'll work out much easier for you there. So when we look at the criteria and really break these down, this is from the score sheet, which is also available on the NACAA website. And so that educational objectives is 20 points there. So what did the participants learn? What did you want them to change or do differently? Our program activities, so was it a workshop, a field day, a home study course, a tour? What really were we trying to accomplish? Our teaching methods, another 10 points. What's our information that's being disseminated? So workshop, field day, what was the actual approach here with hands-on learning? How did we approach that? Results are 20 points. So number of participants, collaborations that resulted from that program, number of people who maybe changed a production practice, or number of acres converted to a preferred crop or tillage method. What was the outcome there? A 20-point impact statement. And so that knowledge gained, maybe there was financial gain for producers, positive environmental results, or maybe it was an attitude change. And then finally, 20 points for our evaluation. So really looking at that method of evaluation. Was that a survey, testimonial, statistical result? How did we get to where we are? And then what did we learn from that evaluation method? So once again, these are due by March 15th. If you send those to your state chair beforehand or reach out to your state chair, I'm sure they'd be happy to help with these. Definitely get those in early. Don't wait till last minute, because these are potentially somewhat lengthy, involved type abstracts, but that preparation is definitely important. And then there's also potential for cash prize for those winners at the when we move to the regional and national levels. So I pulled a few examples here. Here's a farm and ranch type program, and really what the focus of this was engaging 300 to 400 producers in a program one day, focused on farm and ranch days was the title of it. So these can be programs that we do on a daily basis that we feel are high impact or an excellent type program. These can range from this, I pulled the farm and ranch category from this past year, looking at women and ag type programs. Could also be that beginning farming in that state. Maybe this was an online program. Can be Annie's project type programs. Multiple things fit into these, and don't limit yourself just to what someone else has done. If you have a program, pick a category that you feel like it fits within and apply, and kind of put that out there, and you'll be able to learn from that. I know I definitely have by applying to these in the past. You kind of think about the program differently, maybe with some feedback that you get, or think of ways to improve not only your submission, but the program itself. And so with that, a lot of the similar things that we think about with our communications award type submissions, try to get those in early, communicate with that state chair, and then look back at past winners, past submissions in that magazine when we get it, to be able to use that as examples.
That's back to me, Trevor.
There you go.
Okay. So Agricultural Awareness and Appreciation Award is the next category we're going to touch base on. And this is can be members or teams of members for outstanding use of public relations and daily efforts to improve understanding of agriculture in their communities. So eligible, you need to be a state and national member of NACAA in good standing. The lead applicant must be a member of the state and national, but you could have some individuals who are not. Public relation efforts submitted for judging can be conducted between January 1 of the year before and the year of the award application, March 15th. So just a little different time frame than we've been talking about before. Previous regional winners are not eligible for at least 1 year. The entry for each one of these criteria follows the entry criteria, just like Trevor mentioned. You do need to make sure that you follow that criteria, because there are certain guidelines headers that you need to make sure are part of the entry. This entry abstract is only 350 words based on the entry criteria. There's not a separate category for team entries. And then no hard copy applications will be accepted. All submissions are completed by March 15th. So when I mentioned that you need to make sure that each one of the headers are submitted for this category, so we're talking about county situation. And it's giving you 10 points there and going through each one of these descriptions that are on there and making sure that that is part of your abstract, and so on down the line, as we see through public relations objectives, program execution, results, and evaluation. And you notice, as you know, the county criteria is the minimum points possible, where public relations, program execution, and results evaluation each are 30 points. So it's more heavily weighed into those sectors of your abstract that need to make sure that they are submitted properly. As we've said before, type it out in Word, have other people read it, make sure that it is copy and pasted, and you can check your spell check, your grammar. You can also check your word count, have other people view it for you also. Then recognition awards, if adequate donors are funded. You can see here the different award opportunities are available throughout each one of the different levels. And you cannot receive a cash award that is cumulative. So you know, if you're the state winner, then you can continue to move on up the line. If you're the national winner, you don't get $800, you get the $500. So national winner and finalists will be asked to prepare a poster, and that will be put on display during the AMPIC. So not only are you a recipient of this award and will go to a recognition luncheon, but you will also be a poster presenter during the poster presentations also. And entries must be submitted to the Public Relations Chair by March 15th. And the state chairs will be sending that information on as you see the deadlines there. So state chairs have to turn the information in by April 1st and then followed to the regionals by the 15th. Andrew, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me all right. I'm having some internet issues at my office, so I'm gonna keep the video off and hopefully I'm coming through strong, but let me know if you can't hear me. All right. So I'm going to give you more of a perspective from someone who themselves is early on in my career. I've been in extension just over 4 years here in Ashtabula County, and I want to share a couple things that I think are very important when it comes to awards and applying for awards, especially early in your career. All right, so one thing that might be an issue, Gigi, is that with my internet issues, I don't know if I skipped a bunch of slides. Am I showing the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So Christine mentioned this, but I think this is probably my #1 piece of advice for people early on in their career for applying for awards, and that would be help judge awards. There's usually plenty of room on the judging teams to do so. More than likely, you aren't going to get turned away if you volunteer to do it. They're always looking for volunteers, and it gives you an excellent perspective when it comes to what is required for these awards, what kind of submissions other people are submitting. And for me personally, it made it seem less intimidating to apply for awards myself by seeing what awards were being, or what submissions were being made for the different awards. So not only do you get to look at the rubric, but you get to see other examples of submissions, and I was able to make mental notes of, you know, I like this submission because they were very thorough in their abstract, or, you know, I didn't like this submission because they didn't provide enough information on the results of their presentation or their communication award, whatever the case may be. So highly suggest being a judge. Christine also mentioned, you know, it looks good on your service area. So, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're contributing to the organization. You're contributing in that fashion. And then you're also hopefully learning how to be effective and submit high quality awards. The next piece of advice would be get involved in committees. I was lucky enough to be part of some committees very early on in my career. At the encouragement of some of my colleagues in surrounding counties, and just like applying for awards, it did seem very intimidating at first. But once you get started, you quickly realize that you are able to make an impact, and it's not as difficult or intimidating as you may have thought before you got started. Just like a lot of things in extension or in your professional career, it's what you don't know that seems intimidating, and then it's quickly realize that it's not as intimidating once you get into it. So join a committee, join one that you are interested in, and talking to your colleagues, they will probably have some suggestions on which committees that they've been in that they think you would enjoy or that you would be able to serve well. So talk to your colleagues and other educators about that. So we have done a lot of this today, but my third piece of advice would be learning the rules for submissions. So a lot of times, being a judge, in my experience, I've seen a lot of good programs that I know are good programs, but maybe they didn't submit the right information, or they weren't as thorough, or they just didn't follow the instructions properly on their submission. And if you're going to put in the time and effort to submit something for an award, I think that you should not get penalized or DQ'd right off the bat. So learning the rules for submission is super important, and you are all doing that today, taking a step in that direction by being here on this Zoom meeting. So that is great. You're hopefully learning more about the NACA rules and submission requirements. So props to you. All right, am I on Tom? Oh, yeah, went too far. All right, I'm going backwards.
There we go.
I'm on time management. Okay. So another piece of advice, time management, as I look at the time and make sure we're not going past 2 o'clock. We all struggle with it. It's, in talking with my co-presenters today, this was a big talking point that we thought we should stress, but most submissions that we see are submitted on the day that they're due. And well, that's great. We'd rather have them be submitted than not be submitted. The problem comes with that is that if you're missing something, if you forgot to add something, there's no option to improve upon that. So you're going to have to be okay with whatever you submit, right? There's no opportunity for you to add things, change things. Sometimes even when you submit it, if they realize that you didn't include, a link to your video, or you didn't include the news article attachment, someone might be able to reach out to you and say, hey, we realized, or did you mean to not attach this to your submission? And then you're able to correct that. So again, if you're going through all this effort, we don't want you to get DQ'd for not submitting something. So some suggestions for that is set an early deadline. So one thing that we like to do, or at least I like to do, is set a first draft deadline for some of these awards, 2 weeks before the award is actually due. And that allows me to put together, my rough draft before doing my final edits. So another piece of advice would be including others in your awards. So we do a couple different awards, or we do a couple submissions, at least in my county, that include some of my other colleagues. And having other people included on that besides yourself makes it a little bit more of an incentive to make sure that your submissions are complete, right? So if it's just you on that award, you may say, well, I didn't get to it, that's no big deal. But if your colleagues are depending on you to help submit that award, puts a little bit more pressure on it and encourages you to get that done in a timely manner. One of the final things that I wanted to say is that, if you're on this, if you're listening to this, the work that you're doing is important, and the work that you're doing is deserving of recognition. So when I first started off, I thought, well, I'm not making any leaps and bounds, with my programming, or I'm not, reinventing the wheel. I don't need to submit anything. I'm not, the stuff that I'm doing isn't award worthy, but I quickly found out that it's all the work that you're doing in extension, should be recognized. And this is a great way to get it recognized. And even if you're not super confident that your submission is going to blow everybody out of the water, it gives you a good experience to submit it, for one, just so that you can learn the process and that you can hopefully improve upon that farther in your career. But you never know, it's, if everyone has that mindset, then not a lot of people are submitting for awards, and your chances just go up. So pick out, some of the things that you're proud of, some of the things that went well for you in the previous year, and submit it, because it's deserving of recognition. But yeah, with that, I think that was all of my slides.
So final thoughts that I put down, you've heard them multiple times already throughout the presentation, which is read over the County Agent Magazine and the NACA website. Prepare early. Ask someone to read for understanding and clarification, and make sure you have all information needed by the abstract. Remember, depending on the category, depends on what you need to include within the abstract and how it is to be written, whether it has topic headings, website additions, what the but the characters length is, all depends on which application you are applying for. And then submit early. Ask that chair to review, make sure that you've got everything in place and that all the documents are correct, and that they can actually find your links and that they are active, because sometimes we share a link and it's not active to the rest of the group. It's private, it's locked. We have all these security issues with our university links. Make sure that it is an active link that can be used by others. And then we hope to see you in Des Moines in 2023. Anybody else have comments to add? Questions from the group? And there is our contact information. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to any of us.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for this very engaging presentation. I know I picked up a few tips and tricks and some definite things that I need to go back and look at, and maybe explain why I haven't done as well in communication awards as I thought I might have. So really appreciate the time you took on putting this presentation together and sharing with us. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Do we have a question there, Heather?
It says very
Okay, good
helpful.
thing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
I just saw a Q&A.
Yep.
Thank you for having us as part of the early career development.
Thanks for saying yes.